So in case you missed it last night, there was a French language debate on TVA, including Blanchet from the Bloc, Trudeau from the Liberals, Scheer from the Conservatives, and Singh from the NDP. It was a really good debate all in all, and I don't want to focus too much on that right here because I covered it in my live stream last night, so go check that out. What I want to talk about right now is how Blanchet from the Bloc took a statement that I felt was really ugly, and it was a big dog whistle to some pretty ugly elements in Quebec society. And what I'm talking about was reproduced as a tweet by the Bloc Québécois official account. I'll throw it up on the screen. And what it basically says, in a rough translation, is opt for women and men who resemble you or who look like you. And the implication here, without saying it, but it's very clear, is that there are some leaders that don't resemble you, that don't look like you. And the one that they're most clearly talking about is Jagmeet Singh from the NDP, who because of his skin color and because of his religious, identity and because of his religious representation, does not resemble, quote unquote, what the average Quebecer does, or the regular Quebecer, or the real Quebecer. Again, I'm not believing that language. I'm, sort of paraphrasing Blanchet. Now, of course, he doesn't mention Jagmeet Singh. He doesn't mention Sikhs. He doesn't mention religion in that statement. But he doesn't have to. People will go there for him. People will take it there for him. And the intent is clear. Don't vote for somebody who isn't like you. Don't vote for somebody who doesn't have the same beliefs and worldviews like you. Don't vote for somebody who is different from you. Vote for someone just like you. Vote for me. Vote for the Bloc Québécois. I mean, you could even say, I guess, maybe he's referring to Justin Trudeau as well, who's a white Catholic, French-speaking Quebecer, right? But not Jagmeet Singh in any sense. Jagmeet Singh does not fit Blanchet's definition of resembles you, either in terms of his physical look, but also the values he purports to represent. This is very ugly politics. Look, I understand that in Quebec, Bill 21 is popular, but this is a naked appeal for, voting based on a certain demographic identity. This is basically saying, vote for people who look like me and you, vote for people who resemble us, and by extension, don't vote for people who don't look like us or don't resemble us. This isn't, the general statement that, I'm here to represent the interest of Quebeckers and, Quebeckers should support Quebeckers. That's fine. I disagree with separatist ideology, but I see the value of it historically. I see why people support it. I see it, right? Even as I disagree. But this is a really ugly kind of almost race-based, faith-based, skin color-based, approach to basically say there are real Quebeckers and then there are fakes, or that there are people who are like you and there are people who are not. And it's, Jagmeet Singh is not like you. That's the only logical, stance that you can take from what he said. It's the only logical conclusion. And it's very, very troubling. And you have to root this in the context. This is in the context of a Quebec society that banned the right of certain people, largely people like Sikhs and Muslims, to serve in the public service if they wear religious attire. It's taking away their fundamental human rights. It's state-sponsored discrimination. And it's awful. It's wrong. In my view, it violates Canadians' basic human rights and dignities and freedoms. And my hope is that the courts will strike it down for the piece of racist legislation that it is. But in that context, you can see how a popular Bill 21 is being marshaled by the Bloc as this, bastion of Quebec sovereignty, of defending Quebec's distinct society, and as a tool to attack Jagmeet Singh, basically saying there are people who are not like you. Bill 21 deals with that, but also there are people not like you who you could vote for, and you should not vote for them. And that's the reality here. Do not vote for people who do not resemble you. And it was tied into what happened the morning of that debate. Jagmeet Singh was at the market in Montreal, and he saw a man there, and the man basically told him, and I covered this in a video, you would look more Canadian if you cut your turban off. And Singh's response was really on point. It was that, a Canadian, there is no one definition of what a Canadian looks like or doesn't look like. And then when the guy said, well, when in Rome, be like Romans, and Singh said, well, when you're in Canada, you can do what you like. Perfect response. And Singh got a lot of credit for that. The original clip of that on Twitter now has over 1 million views, which is massive for anything Canadian politics related. But the point is that that remark is emblematic of many people in Quebec, but also in English Canada. And I don't think we can ignore it. When the Bloc Québécois leader, again, one of the most popular leaders in Quebec, a leader that looks poised to win many, many seats and regain official party status for the Bloc, when he says, vote for people who look like you, that is a direct attack on Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. And maybe some people will come into the comments and say, well, when he says resemble, he means more metaphorically. But I don't think so. I think that's what makes it a good dog whistle, that he's going to be able to deny that this applies to the NDP. But we all know what it means. We all know that the Bloc wants to take the NDP's votes and seats in this election. And we all know that the Bloc doesn't want to do it through honest policy debates. They want to do it by othering Jagmeet Singh, by othering the NDP, by implying that Jagmeet Singh is not like you and therefore cannot represent you, and that the NDP MPs in the province, even if they are like you in many cases, even if they are, good old stock French Canadians, that they cannot represent you because they've pledged fealty to a leader who is not like you. And they are, in a sense, traitors, that they are, in a sense, betraying you and those who resemble you. That's the logical conclusion of this. It's extremely, extremely ugly stuff. And I want to see many people call it out. Because here's the thing. A lot of people maybe didn't watch the debate last night. A lot of people didn't see it, especially those who only speak English, who don't have French language proficiency. But this was a major moment that shows the depth of discrimination that is aimed at Jagmeet Singh and really is aimed at the entire NDP by proxy of supporting a leader like Jagmeet Singh. And I think people all over the country need to realize that the NDP deserves your support because it is taking a bold stand against regressive ideology. It's taking a stand in saying that just because a leader wears a turban or doesn't have white skin, that it doesn't mean that leader isn't, worthy of being prime minister. No other party has dared to take that stand, either because they have racist beliefs or they're afraid of challenging them. And the NDP and Jagmeet Singh are showing leadership, and Canadians coast to coast to coast should support them for actually embodying Canadian values in how they represent their party to the country. That's what matters here. The Bloc Québécois has some good ideas. They're not the worst party on many an issue. But what we saw last night is the Bloc Québécois will weaponize racism to attack Jagmeet Singh and the NDP, and they have no qualms with doing it. They deserve condemnation for this act, and I hope every progressive Quebecer, even if they're sovereigntists in Quebec, realize that there is no route to a just Quebec society when you vote for xenophobic politicians like Blanchet and xenophobic parties like the Bloc.